We're live?
Mm-hmm. Good afternoon, everybody. How is everybody doing this afternoon? Good. Hope you can all hear me. We're just sorting a few things out. Good. Oh, excuse me, just need to get a couple of cameras a bit adjusted. We've had a rather busy week yesterday. No. Last week, let me just get this camera right as well. There we go. Super, okay. So we've had a very interesting week. So obviously don't forget, can you hear me? And also, can you hear Louise as well?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you got a bit of the bottle warmer on that one.
A bit of a what?
A bit of the bottle warmer. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Lovely Louise.
I look like I've been dragged through a hedge today.
Good. No, you look lovely. Look lovely. Good. You can all hear us. Excellent. Good. So we had a really interesting week last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Louise.
Non-stop, yeah.
Non-stop.
Non-stop. Are you going to put the code up on there?
I am.
Oh.
Am I not allowed to?
I don't know. Looks like you're going to do it anyway.
I am.
It's a good offer.
It's a very good offer. So last Monday we had Marie and Gabriel from the Birmingham assay office come down, and we had a really good question and answer session all about hallmarking and the services that the Birmingham assay office offers. It was really good, wasn't it? It was really good.
Yeah, really good. So many brilliant questions answered.
Yes.
So much valuable information. So many of you have contacted us to say how much you enjoyed it, which is great. Thank you very much. So if you missed it, it was broadcast last week.
Yep.
On this channel, and it was really good.
Good, an hour's worth of, and we were told off the work we haven't been doing things right as well, have we? The notice
Yes,
was out of
hallmarking
date.
notice was out of date. And it's the kind of thing, when you've got something like that up just on the wall, or we had it in like a standy up frame, didn't we? And you walk past it every day and you see it every day, and it's just you, and you think, have you got your hallmarking notice? Yes, of course we've got that. And you don't think, do you? Because you see it every day, you just know you've got it, but it was out of date, which was a bit embarrassing. But it
was out of date.
Yeah,
and you have to
I don't mind making an example of us if it helps everybody else.
You have to display the correct one that is up to date. We had one that was about 5 years old. It was the one previous to the one that's out now, and it didn't have the second convention mark, but it was out of date, and we were very
The date
naughty.
letters had run out, didn't they? But I will say, and I meant to mention this last week when Marie was here, trading standards did come round.
They did.
Before Christmas. They visited us at the shop, and they wanted me to show them hallmarks of items that were in the cupboard, which of course was no problem because everything's hallmarked and everything's in line with legislation apart from our poster, which was a little bit out of date. But yeah, they were happy.
Yeah.
And
perhaps they weren't up to date, you never know. But they saw it. It looked exactly the same. The only thing that was different was there was this one extra convention mark on the bottom right-hand corner, wasn't there? And obviously the date letters.
I mean, in reality, they would just say, update your dealer notice.
Yeah.
It's, hopefully that's all they'd say, and make sure you do it, and we'll come back and check in a week or whatever.
But we have an up-to-date one now.
But we do have an up-to-date one now, thanks to Marie,
Thanks to Marie. And also, don't forget, there was a special offer that Marie mentioned as well during the question and answer last week. So, if you want to register with the Birmingham Assay office, it costs, I think, about £95 to register, plus then a punch if you want to have your Hallmarks punch, or artwork produced for your laser mark. Those are extra on top of your £95 registration fee. But Marie said for At the Bench Q&As that you can have your registration for free, which will save you £95. So you have to approach the assay office, you have to email them, the Birmingham Assay office, and you have to put in ATB 2024, so At the Bench 2024, okay? You have to quote that, and they then will waiver is that the right word? They will waiver the registration fee, but you still have to pay for your artwork, for your laser inscription or your punch.
You'd have to pay for that anyway, but the registration fee is £90-something.
About £95,
so
isn't it?
It's a really big saving. Great offer, but it's only on till the last Friday of this month,
which is the 28th of June.
Yeah.
So get in there, get your registration, and if you don't want to fork out £100 for a metal punch, just send up your artwork and have it converted so you can then have your laser mark at any size. It doesn't matter, you just pay the one fee for the artwork, and then you pay then per laser, so to speak.
But I presume once you've registered and got your laser mark, if you wanted a punch, you could always do that at a later date, can you?
Yeah. So I think this is totally worth it. Approach him, because Louise did it this morning, didn't you?
I did.
You registered
your
your
mark. I haven't
mark.
done the forms yet, actually, because one day I might actually make something with marking. You never know. But
you're doing well. Yeah. You're doing well.
But as it's free, I thought, I'm going to do it.
So don't forget, Birmingham Assay office, only the Birmingham Assay office. It's not available in Sheffield, Edinburgh or London. Birmingham Assay office, contact them, ATB 2024, your registration then is free. Cool idea.
Good.
That was. And then also then on Wednesday, we did... Thursday, we did a workshop. Now, it was not a live workshop. We recorded that workshop, and it was a workshop all about, you'd be pleased to know, Argentium. Yes. Everyone's been asking for Argentium for years and years and years, and I've always gone, do you know what? I don't know anything about Argentium. Well, tell you what, I know a bit now. It was very good.
You know a lot. You know a lot.
We know a lot now.
We know a lot.
We knew a lot. It was a brilliant workshop. We've recorded it. We have to edit it. And it was with the amazing Marky DeWard. She is an award-winning jeweller from Reading. And author.
Published
as well.
author. I
My
think
book
you took your book home, didn't
now.
you?
Yeah, I took my book home now.
Yeah.
So. Published author with Janet Richardson, did an amazing book on her jewellery. Amazing book on jewellery, published back in 2021, just after COVID that was. So that was really, really good. We had a brilliant workshop, and it was absolutely fantastic. And we're going to be releasing the workshop. We're going to be doing something a little bit different with this workshop. If you are not a paid member of At the Bench, it's still going to be £15 to basically watch it. But if you're a paid member of At the Bench, it's going to be free. But we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It'll still go on the At the Bench website in the usual way. That's not a problem. But the way that we present it is going to be slightly different, and we'll tell you more about that over the next couple of weeks. So I had to go on some projects. I had to go on making some earrings. Obviously, we haven't finished them or polished them just yet. We really didn't have time for that. But we were doing some projects, just very, very simple little round earrings like that, and we actually fused it, and we've hammered it, and we've used the Argentium solder, we've used normal solder. Then I did this ring, again, fused it. The amazing thing is you can fuse the metal, and then we fused the balls on.
There was absolutely no solder at all. That was made completely solderless.
Yeah.
With just the metal, the Argentium.
It really was.
The Argentium and there's a flux, isn't there? A specific flux that you have to use, but absolutely no. So there's no solder joints in there. It's all completely fused.
All fused, and the little balls are fused on as well, which I absolutely loved.
And you wouldn't be able to do that with sterling silver.
No, you would not. You could have to solder these balls on, but the balls are gonna. The solder's going to flow. It's not going to be as good. Then
you'd get one solder joint, and by the time you added to it, the rest would be just a mess, wouldn't it?
Absolutely all over the place. And this is what I was amazed at. The cleanliness of this. This was a heart. We textured the heart with a bit of lace, as you can see, and then I simply made a little bit of a heart out of wire, and we fused it onto this textured backplate. And the amazing thing is, and I am still amazed at it, it is fused upon.
Andrew Berry was actually impressed. Something impressed Andrew.
I was absolutely amazed with it. And it was fused, there's no solder joints on it, and you can fuse the Argentium, whereas you cannot fuse sterling. So it's 940 Argentium. It's a new mix of Argentium that's been out for a few years now. And if you watch the workshop, there will be another special offer during that workshop that is going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks. As I said, we're going to be doing something slightly different with that workshop. So fingers crossed we should have Marky here and also Robert Johns? Peter Johns.
Well, I don't think they'll be actually physically here. I mean, they're very, very welcome if they want to come here. But hopefully we can get them on
the chat
to basically answer questions and for everybody to tell them how wonderful Argentium is and how much we love them. But it'd be lovely if they wanted to come here.
Yeah, so it's all something slightly different over the next couple of weeks. So stay peeled, keep your eyes peeled on social media, because we're going to be coming to that as well. That was about it last week, wasn't it?
I think so.
Can't think of anything else. And we got some brilliant ideas to play around with Argentium, haven't we? Louise has been having a go today. Certain things you can do, certain things you can't do. I thought it was going to be something completely different to what it is, but it's not as bad as what I thought it was going to be.
I'm really chuffed with my little thing that I
did, yeah.
Because I encountered a problem. There's one golden rule, one really, really important rule that you have to remember about Argentium, and it's involving gravity, isn't it?
It is, yes.
And I got excited because I'd managed to fuse all my balls onto my ring, and it was right at the very end, and I forgot the golden rule, and disaster struck, but I've still managed to
make a ring. You have. Fused it all, not solder joint in place.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Brilliant. So stay tuned to social media for that. And if you are anybody who is watching this who is just finishing a degree in college or a diploma, you're coming to the end of your education, again, stay tuned to social media over the next few days, because we have a very special offer for you guys if you are just finishing the education this year. Okay, Louise, shall we start?
Yes.
Shall we start? It's Monday, it's the 17th, Monday the 17th. It's actually 4:15 now because I've jabbered on so long. It's time for our Q&A. Louise, just have another...
The one thing we've got to mention, because I haven't been here since I came back, was the PVT. Perhaps we'll talk about that a bit later, shall we?
Oh, yes, okay, yeah.
Because that's quite a good one.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay,
brilliant.
Good. Remind me.
Yes.
Good. I didn't have a question ready, sorry. Penny, I want to make a ring out of wax, but one where the ends wrap over each other and can be adjusted to fit. I've only carved a joined signet ring before. Any tips on how to carve the wax? Flat? Could you carve it flat and then form it? No, because it's not going to flow down, is it?
It depends on how you're going to cast it. You thinking of casting it yourself, or you're going to be sending it away?
I'm just thinking if you're going to overlap it, then that's probably, I don't know.
You have to make a ring out of wax, but where the ends wrap over each other and can be adjusted. Now, the problem that you've got, I think, is the fact that if it's cast, it's going to be quite brittle. That's the only problem that I can think of. If it was made out of wire, it's a bit more malleable So I think you may have a problem if it is constantly adjusted. But if it's an adjustable ring and it's only adjusted once to fit, I would not think there would be a problem with that. Again, this is the thing, is with some of the brands that we got, they do adjustable rings, and there's like the section of metal is like that, isn't it, on one, and on the other one it's like that. So one slides inside the other, doesn't it? So okay, so I think your best bet is to make a ring, and for argument's sake, do you know what, I've had a week off from drawing. Mind you, I couldn't draw in the first place, could I really? So let's face it. So say you were doing a signet ring, okay? So there's the head of the signet ring, and we're actually going to bring this towards this way instead. So I think what you'd have to do is definitely overlap them. That's my signet ring on the inside, isn't it? That is there. Does that make sense? So you'd have to definitely overlap them when you cast them.
Sending it away.
Okay, so I think you'd be better off when you send it away. But I think if you make it so... okay, so make it so the one piece that comes over the outside, perhaps I would make that the right size diameter. And the one in the middle, so you'd have, there's your head of your signet ring. I'm using a signet ring for argument's sake. And we have one piece that comes down like that, and then one piece that comes in like that. So that's how I would do it, for argument's sake, like that. I would have this diameter across here, roughly the size that I think you want it. And then this one then is, this diameter here is just a little bit smaller. So you've got a distance here. So when you have it back from the casting, you just slide it down the mandrel. It'll expand this one, and it'll expand this one to match then this size. So you want to make a ring in the size R, you make this diameter the size R, if that makes sense. So this one will stay, but this one is slightly smaller. When you force it on the mandrel, it'll force this one larger in place with that one, like that. And that's how I think I would do it, if that makes sense. Yes, Louise, have another question.
Louise says, signed up with BEAO, really quick and helpful, yay.
Good.
Michael, did you know that propaganda is a British expression for having a closer look? Oh, propaganda.
Oh, I see.
Very good. Right, Victoria sent me an email, and it's, can I show my screen?
It's one thing I didn't put on today.
Can I do this? She's been asked to make a twisted bangle.
Yeah.
What's the best way to approach this?
Hinged or not? Is that hinged?
Yes, I think I can... No, it might be a shadow. Is it hinged, Victoria? It doesn't look... I think that's... No, I think that's a reflection. Okay. It doesn't look hinged.
Okay, twisted bangle. It's really nice and simple. You obviously need a bangle mandrel. That is the main thing that you want. And you just simply have to twist it. You have to twist it, hold, you're going to make it 20.5 centimeters long for the average size wrist, but you want to hold one end in, say, a pair of parallel pliers, and you're going to hold the other end in a vise. So you'd allow 1 centimeter at the vise, centimeter at the end that you're holding on to. So that makes 22.5. What you're going to do, you're going to twist it. So either twist it 180 degrees or you twist it 360 degrees. So you have it, your bit of metal there. Yep, you have your in the middle there, and you twist it so it twists once, or you can twist it twice. It's entirely up to you. You have to do it 180 or 360 because it's flat. You have to make sure that when you do twist it, when it comes together, they will come at the right plane. So that would be the easiest way to do it. You've allowed for the clamping on either end. You make it 20.5 centimeters overall length. You cut it, you put the ends together, and you should find they will come together just right. that would be the easiest thing to do if you want to have an even twist running all the way around the whole bangle. If you just want to have a section that is twisted, well then I would hold one section in the vise, measure out say 30 millimeters, get your parallel pliers, and the best thing about parallel pliers is that you can put the metal all the way through up to there. You got about 30 or 40 millimeters here, you twist it say a quarter or half, brilliant. You can move that down the vise and get another section and twist it and so forth. You could do that and have twisty, 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 and then have a little bit on the either end that's plain that you can bring round to solder. That would be the easiest way, I think, if that makes sense. If that's what Victoria was on about, yeah.
Okay, good.
Cool, excellent.
Okay.
Yes, Lou.
Sani says, is it only for England? That's the assay office.
It is only for the Birmingham assay office. It's not available in London, Edinburgh or Scotland.
I think Sani's overseas.
Yes, it's only for overseas.
It's for a UK hallmark.
Hallmark.
So you would only need that if you're selling in the UK.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what the hallmarking or what the laws are.
I don't know in other countries.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, but yeah, if you, I guess, I suppose, yeah, give them a ring and
ask them, yeah, of course, yeah, they're very helpful, yeah.
Can you be registered at more than one assay office?
Yes, you can.
You can, but what Marie was saying last week is that there's no guarantee, they're independent, aren't they?
Yes.
The 4 assay offices, and there's no guarantee that your sponsor mark will be available in another. Suppose like you're registered at Birmingham.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee that your sponsor mark will be available in, say, London.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because they all run separately.
Yes, and somebody may have already taken your initials and the outline.
But the short answer is yes, you can, I think.
Yes, you can. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Julia says, I like the idea of the deep laser hallmarks for ease. Do you find it deep enough for everyday wear and polishing?
Yeah, now you've had more experience because you've sent off more items to be hallmarked when it comes to the Welsh range that we did, didn't you? You had a deep relief, it's called. If you just simply have a light pass in, you really have to have that done when the item is finished.
We were going to put the pictures up and we forgot, didn't we?
Yes, exactly, we did. But if you ask for a deep etch, they will go over it a few times and it will be a lot deeper. I think the ones that we've had have worked quite nicely.
I think the first level is an outline, isn't it?
Yes.
So the outline is lasered in.
Yeah.
The second level, the relief mark, is the opposite of the outline is lasered in.
Yeah, they etch away the background.
Yeah.
So it looks like a punch.
Yes, yeah. But where I've sent them off in the past, they've been pre-polished and final polished.
Yeah.
Inside.
Yeah.
And I've sent them off and they've come back and I've just given it one last sweep on the inside, but avoiding the mark completely.
You'll find there may be some soot on there due to the laser, but yeah, that can be wiped off. But as you say, go over it with a nice soft mop, very gently, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is pay for marks and then
and take it too much off. But you do pay a little bit extra for every layer it goes down as well. You have to, it takes time and
I think if it's a pendant,
energy. It's not going to get the wear, is it?
Yeah.
So a light mark would be ideal on that, on the back of the bail, somewhere like that.
Well, that's an interesting question, actually. Well, I think I already know the answer after last week, is if you do polish a mark out or... Yeah, I suppose you'd be responsible for sending it back off to have it put back in, wouldn't you?
Yes. You would. You answered your own question.
I answered my own question. Great. Linda's done a registration today. Yay! It was
Thank you,
easy.
Linda.
They are really helpful. Thanks for the offer. It's so exciting. I know. You're welcome. Fab. Penny, I was relieved my dealer's notice was up to date. Well done. Nice one. Okay. See, where are we? Ellen is saying, what is the difference between sterling and Argentium metal-wise?
So sterling is 925. Okay, you got 925. So you got 925 parts fine silver, and then you got 75 parts, usually copper. Okay, so that's sterling. But Argentium is 940 parts fine How much germanium was there?
I want to say, no, I don't want to say in case I'm wrong.
It is literal some.
I'm sure it's like, I don't know why, let me double check, but I think it might be 4%.
Yeah. I thought I had my bit of paper here. So yeah, you still got copper, and I was quite surprised at this. You still got the copper, but you've got you've got germanium, which I think is about
maybe it's not 4%.
1 or 2%.
It says 1, but yeah, yes. It's a small amount.
It says 1, and then you've got 60. You got 59. So yeah, so you got 1% germanium and the rest is copper. And I was quite surprised to see that still is copper within the silver. Is that right?
Yeah. 59% copper.
59 parts. Thank you. So it's 1 part germanium, 59 copper, but it's the germanium that provides the oxide on the surface that stops the copper coming through. So that is it. So as there's more fine silver, the melting temperatures are going to be slightly different. And because you've got a bit more silver and got the germanium in there, you can fuse it as well. Oh, there's my paper. I just ran over it there. Does it have all the information on here? No.
Is it not on the other side?
No. I thought because Marky had all
Is it in the workshop though? I seem to remember.
It is. I think she sent us the information as well this morning.
Oh, okay, good.
It's on that.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
It's all to come.
It is. So that's the difference in the silver, and because you've got the germanium in it, it does alter the properties very, very slightly. But you have
so bright, isn't it? It's just
that's the amazing thing. I thought
so bright and clean looking. It's lovely.
You heat it up, and because I won't let you into too much of the workshop.
That's the thing. I don't want to give away too much.
But what was amazing was you had a bit of sterling, you melted it. You had a bit of Argentium, you melted it. You looked at the sterling and it's gone black. You look at the Argentium and it was still silver colour. There was no oxides on it at all. And that just blew me out, even just seeing that straight away. Anyway, I'm not going to talk too much about that. You have to watch the workshop.
There's so many reasons, isn't there, for
that to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a convert now. Yes, Lou.
And the other thing is obviously you're going to plan designs around Argentium that doesn't have the limitations of sterling silver.
Absolutely.
Like your granulation and other things that you can do.
Granulation and fusing and putting one bit of metal on top of the other.
Because the fusing is literally putting 2 parts together, so they're essentially 1 part, aren't they?
Yes.
It's not like when you solder something, it doesn't become part of the whole thing. It's an embellishment, essentially, isn't it? But the fusing makes
it all
2
together.
things one.
Yes.
It's on, isn't it?
It is very nice.
Okay, Janet, can't wait to learn about Argentium. Got my grandson to make my daughter a similar ring with little balls. That's Echo. Brilliant. Oh. Josephine, I've experimented with Argentium. Very interesting method because of the fusing rather than using solder. I do both because I'm still learning and inclined to melt as much as fuse. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You take it to the brink, really.
Yeah.
But I was obviously at the workshop, and I don't know whether it was just beginner's luck, but I've never used it before, and I listened to everything that Marky said, and I didn't melt anything. I did pick it up, and it fell to bits, but I fixed it, and So Marky explains all of this in the workshop, what you have to look out for, and how. It's not brilliant, so please be kind. And my balls are a little bit irregular, but I was just excited because it was working, and then everything just went a bit, But she tells you exactly what to do, what to look for, and when to basically take the heat away. Yeah,
it's very good.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Barbara says, during the soldering workshop you mentioned that you would never use solder paste. Will you explain why not?
Okay, so the problem with solder paste, you do get very nasty fumes that come off it when you put the flame to it. I don't like those fumes, and I can do without those fumes, so I don't use it. I will use borax with a normal bit of solder. Solder paste, for me, this is the thing, I've seen people get solder paste and they are so lazy with it. The one thing that I've seen people do is that they get like a bangle or a ring shank, and they put the ring shank together and they get the solder paste and they go like that all the way along the joint. They heat it up and they use the solder paste for the join of a ring or for a bangle. The problem is it's not strong enough. When you have a look at that joint with an eyeglass or a magnification with an optivisor, you'll see it's porous. You'll see there are holes, there are little bits and pits in it, which for me is completely wrong. You should not be able to see any holes or pits or anything like that in the solder. The solder should be a complete piece of metal, molten metal, flowing between the joints. So that's the problem. It's not very good for large pieces, rings, shanks, bangles, that sort of thing. It is good for soldering the tiniest thin little chain links or small little jump rings when it is so small, and perhaps it's a bit more awkward to get a small bit of solder in place. So that would be the only time that I would use it. I've seen some people use it for filigree. It's an easy option, it's an easy way out, and it's not too bad when it comes to that. So for me personally, I don't think that solder paste is good for you because of the fumes, and it's also not good for your work as well because the solder joints are not strong enough. They're porous. It's like having, I'm going back to Yorkies and Aeros again, if you're in the UK, a Yorkie bar is solid chocolate, an Aero bar looks, but you snap it and it's all full of holes. And that's what I reckon that the solder paste is, because there's little bits of solder mixed in with the flux. It's a nasty smell, nasty fumes that comes off it. That's why people say you've got to have extraction. Don't bother having paste. Just have normal solder and your repairs and your making up of your rings and bangles will be far better and far superior. That is my reason. Thank you.
Good. Victoria, I mean, I've never used it. I'm not allowed it.
Exactly.
Victoria was saying it needs to be a cuff, going back to the bangle I showed you. The trusty bangle.
Okay, yeah. That's okay, yeah.
Yeah,
just simply have the length that you need and just simply add a little bit on each end and just give it a twist and then just bend it round into cuff shape. Yeah, good. Should be no problem.
Lewa is saying, I need to make a ring that is silver mesh. I can't find that kind of mesh to buy, so I have tried to make one myself but failed dramatically. The wire moves out of position. Can you help?
Okay, so this is something I think where Argentium would come
You're
in.
just Argentium boy now.
No,
aren't you?
I'm just thinking you're trying to make a mesh. No,
people have been asking you for the last 5 years about Argentium,
and I said every answer Argentium. So I reckon if you're trying to make a mesh, okay, you are going to have one wire that goes up, under, and onto like this, yeah. So you're going to do this. It's so hard doing this.
I thought you were playing hangman.
Yeah. Yeah, and the wire comes down, it comes over. Yeah, it does this. So this is basically what you're trying to do, aren't you? So the wires go under, go over, go under, go over. Yeah. I don't know why they did so much. Anyway, so this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to get one under, over, under, over. If you don't solder those wires, as you say, they're going to move. So you've got to solder every single under, over. Okay? But if you use Argentium wire, you could fuse all that, you could fuse these points because they're going to be touching. They're going to be under, over, under, over, under, over. You heat it up until the wire just starts to shimmer, just starts to flash, and you can fuse each of those little points together. And as they're fused, now you can bend that round into a ring.
And it'll be lovely and soft.
And it'll be lovely and soft, and you won't have to worry about trying to polish in the nooks and crannies to get your fire scale off, because it'll be lovely and bright and white and shiny as well. So that's an ideal opportunity for you to try Argentium.
Brilliant application.
And you can buy Argentium wire. And if you're going to come along to the workshop, well, not come along, if you want to watch the workshop, as I said, we've got a very special offer in that workshop that will be very beneficial if you want us to buy some Argentium.
Awesome. I love it.
Let's have another question now.
Dances with Aardvarks, is there a reason that pinbacks tend to be riveted on rather than soldered on?
Pinbacks, not quite sure what pinbacks would be. If they're riveted...
Like a tie pin?
Tie pins? Don't know. I'm not quite sure what your pinbacks are.
Can you tell us what type of...
But if they're not soldered and they're riveted on, is perhaps the soldering would perhaps soften the metal. Whereas you can harden them. Another thing with Argentium, you can harden it in your oven. So Marky said. Yeah, if it's riveted, they are not heating up the metal to solder it, which would anneal the metal, which would make the metal soft. So they're most probably hardening up the metal beforehand and then riveting it in place so it's not altering the annealing or the work hardness of the metal. So that would be the reason, if I understand the question right. Yeah.
Good.
Yes, Lou.
Janet says, a friend wants a twisted ring with 2 wires. I want to make several. One being flattened in the rolling mill for a different look. Would you use solder before rolling to keep the wires together? No,
just roll it. The advantage of not soldering them together is when you put it through the rolling mill, they will start to dent, because when there's one wire on top of another, it will dent. So it won't necessarily move because those dents are going to lock each of those twists. Can we go back to twist again? So they're going like this, aren't they? Yeah, so each of these now, okay, so each of these where they're going under and over, these are going to be dented, so they're not going to move. When you put it through the rolling mill, you'll get a nice little bit of a shine on those areas that are slightly raised because there's a double thickness. As you roll it, it will get a little bit thinner. It'll get pushed down on these little areas here, which will give the whole ring a lovely look. Practice with some copper. Twist some copper, put it through the rolling mill and find out. What you could do, if these wires were 1.5 millimeters in diameter and you twist them together, it would make a lovely twist ring. Flatten it through the rolling mill, perhaps take it down to 1 millimeter, and you'll find that it will just slightly spread a little bit widthways, but also it'll spread a little bit lengthways. The only problem that you've got is that if you do it through the rolling mill, you may have a problem trying to get the right length for a specific finger size. So what you may have to do is get your chart out to tells you what length your ring blank has to be for the thickness. Say you did an O today, didn't you? And say it was 60 millimeters, but when you roll down the wire, it works out at 58. Because what you want to do, perhaps you want to try and cut across a join, and then where the next one comes along, you want to cut across here. So that distance there needs to be exactly 60, or the correct length that you need, so the pattern can repeat itself. There. That's what I would do. So don't solder. No, not at all. Yes, Lou.
Good. Trevor says, if I have a swan neck hallmarking punch made, can I use it for other items in addition to rings, or do I need a straight punch too?
You should be able to use it for anything. With a swan neck, and it's like this, comes down like that, yep, and it gets a bit thinner down there. Okay, so that's a swan neck. And the reason why it's called a swan neck is the fact that you can hallmark the insides of rings. Okay, so your ring would go in that position like that, and they can stamp it in this direction, and the force gets in here. Now, if you have a swan neck, what you find is that the head, this area down here will be ever so slightly curved, so when it stamps a ring, the curvature of the stamp will make the punch on the inside of the ring the correct sort of depth. If it was straight, okay, if your punch was straight and you're stamping it on the insides of a ring shank like that, you'll see that it's going to hit here and hit here, but not necessarily down here. So that's the reason why the bottoms are curved, so when it stamps a ring, it stamps it nice and evenly. The only problem that you've got now is that if you want to use that curved punch on a flat piece of metal, you're going to have to stamp it quite deep. And if you're stamping it yourself, it's not a problem, because you can come along and move the punch to the one side, tap it, move it vertical, tap it, move it this side and tap it, so you get an even punch. But in the assay office, they will put that into a jig and it's only punched in one direction. So what you're going to have to make sure of is that the piece that you're wanting to be hallmarked is going to be deep enough to be able to take the punch, if that makes sense. Don't have anything too thin like that and expecting this curved punch here to punch into the piece, because there's not enough metal to take up the punch. Yes, Lynn?
Okay, good. Sandra says, is the fused bond as strong as a soldered bond? It's stronger.
Exactly.
Because it becomes as one with the rest of the metal, provided you've done it right and it's properly fused, It
is as one.
Yeah.
It's as one.
Yeah, there's essentially no joint, because what you've done is, I guess, melted.
Molecularly fused it.
Yeah, and it just becomes...
It's like having a piece of metal. Let's say you have a piece of wire and you melt it. It's still wire, and it's like that. It's just the fact that you're bringing the ends together and melting it, and it's fusing all the way around and fusing through to the centre. So yeah, it is the same.
Good.
Excuse me, stronger than a solder joint.
Yeah. Are some gallery strips Argentium? They seem to fuse as much as solder.
Yes.
I think they would have to be sold as Argentium, wouldn't they?
The gallery strips.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're sold as Argentium, you can fuse them. Yes.
Yeah. Claire's saying, so is no pickling needed? No. Well, generally no. I think if there's no signs of any oxides on there, then you don't have to pickle.
No, you
don't. It's like when I did this afternoon, I was literally just flux and fuse and flux and fuse and flux and fuse and flux and fuse, and then the shank fell off, so I had to re-shank it, but it was flux and fuse, and I fused, and then that was that.
Yeah.
And I did put it in at the end,
yeah.
But it was
there
so
was no need
quick.
to. And that was the thing that threw me, because it's when you solder, you solder it, pickle, I do pickle, water, clean it. But with Argentium, you don't have to put it in the pickle because it doesn't oxidize. So I'm doing it, I'm going, oh, I'm not quite sure what to do, because I did it. It's always,
sat there like that.
It is
what
so
now?
automatic. It's just so automatic. And it's like driving a car. It's like driving a manual car all your life. It's in your head, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever, but you know it all. You get into an automatic and you're driving and you're thinking, I'm driving, but how am I driving it? Because I'm not actually moving the gears. So how is this thing working? And I don't have to use the gears. So how is this Argentium silver working and doing what it's supposed to do? And I don't have to pickle it. So anyway, there we go. It was good.
Oh, Helena's saying it's usually 935, the gallery strips. The Argentium is 940, and it's the presence of the germanium. It's a very specific recipe, for want of a better word, a very specific alloy, I should say, not recipe, that gives it its unique properties, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
So
yeah. I think
if it's 935, it's just...
It's the old Argentium.
Is it?
Yes.
Does that have germanium in it?
Yes.
Ah, but then if it's just 935...
It's slightly different. It's like, because there was...
Can you get 935 silver, though, without...
935, and I think it was 960. They did two different types of germanium, of Argentium, sorry. And they've refined it now, because there were problems with it in certain things, but it's been refined now, so it's a lot better. So I think the 940 is what it is now. 935, I think, is the old, so you're going to have to take a lot more care with it when it comes to, especially with fusing, in case it's gravity, and as you say today, it just drops and it just fractures and breaks.
Don't give away too much. Yeah.
Let's have another question.
Josephine says Argentium won't oxidise like sterling silver, invented in 1986 in the UK. Yeah. It's been updated.
Yes.
Like I say, in the last 2 years, so it's different now.
Than what it has been.
There's been, I can't think of the word.
Updated. Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't oxidise. But when you want it to oxidise, you can put some liver of sulphur on it, and it will oxidise. So
clever.
Right, very clever. Sandra's looking forward to the workshop. Cool. Penny likes Argentium. Ellen says that sounds pretty amazing. I'm highly allergic to several metals. I can wear sterling silver, but do you know if the germanium is Argentium is allergy friendly? I think the answer to that one was generally people find it a lot more hypoallergenic, and people who can't wear sterling silver or other metals can wear Argentium, but that's not to say that you won't be allergic to it, because obviously at some point somebody is going to have a sensitization to it.
Yes.
So that was the answer. But on the whole, in general, people find that it's fine. But we can't promise that it will be fine, though. But
they
can
do
say it's highly likely that you'll be okay.
They do state on the Argentium Guild that it is hypoallergenic, but I'm sure there may be somebody who would have a reaction. So I don't think it's 100%. But as you say,
nothing ever is, though, is it, really, in terms of allergies? Because you don't know what it's got to be. It's a specific allergen, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
and it depends on how sensitive people are to that specific allergen and the concentration of it, and lots of other variable factors. So yeah, but yeah, generally yes, it's hypoallergenic. But just bear the other things in mind as well.
Yes.
Good. Yes, Josephine says another use for Argentium: melt and spread over copper is possible to get lovely reticulation effects. Ooh, because I didn't think you could reticulate Argentium. Well, you can't, can you? But if you put it over copper, I guess the copper. Oh, I like the sound of that.
Don't know. But don't forget, if you're using copper, going back, if you're in the UK and you're using copper and silver, if the whole of the item is over 7.78 grams in weight, has to be hallmarked.
You've got to hallmark it, even if it's mainly copper.
And 2 or 3 grams silver.
Yeah.
You've got to have it hallmarked.
It goes on the overall weight of the piece and not the, I guess, the majority weight of the metal, does it?
The weight of the metal, exactly. Yes.
If it's 1 gram of silver and that tips it over the 7.78 grams, then it's got to be hallmarked.
Yeah.
To sell it legally.
Yes.
Good. Barbara's saying, I recently made a silver spinner ring with copper and brass wires for the spinners. The ring, which was textured, consistently turns black under the spinners. Could the brass wire be the problem? Secondly, if I remove the spinners, how would I go about adding new spinners?
So it could just be a mixture of the metals of the one metal rubbing against the other. Definitely. If you do remove the spinners, you can always solder them back into place, because there's going to be a gap between the main body of the ring and the spinner. So you've got to make sure that the solder joint for your main part of your ring is perhaps down the bottom, okay? And then when you put the spinner over the top, you put it over and you make it, you could get a pair of, I took them downstairs just now, head and shank tweezers or some tweezers to pull that spinner together. So your solder joint for your main ring is down here. And then when you put the spinner in place, you put the joint up at the top of here. You hold this together. You can get a pair of tweezers that do that if you wanted to hold that together. And then you can solder up here whilst the joint is down there. This is not going to solder onto here, because you're going to have a little bit of a gap, aren't you, underneath the spinner and the main body. So you should be able to solder them on. But it does sound like it's a mixture, it's a reaction between the two metals that's causing the discoloration. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. King of saying, is there a hallmark for Argentium, or will it be marked sterling? It would be marked sterling, because the assay office have got specific finesses of nail finenesses for any metal, really. And if a metal falls in between, it would always be marked down to the lowest or the lower. So if it's in between, I don't know, 925 and 999, Is that a silver?
No, you can get 950 Britannia.
No, you can get 999 silver.
Yeah, and also 950. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's say 950 then.
Okay.
And 925 Argentium would go to 925 because it would be the lower of the two extremes.
Yes.
Yeah. It would be. Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And also,
when you speak Louise, other people might not, but yeah.
So it'll always go down to the lowest. So, and also you can,
not the lowest, but the lowest
of what you've got.
The next lowest.
The next lowest. Yeah. So if you can also get an Argentium stamp that can be stamped upon a piece as well. So the stamp would have a little unicorn, I think it is, to show that it is Argentium. And that can be added to your hallmark as well.
It's cute, isn't it?
It's cute, isn't it?
That is cute. Good. Claire might be an Argentium convert. Yay. Does Andrew like Argentium? Just a bit, Julia.
No, I was. I know. I went into it. I went into it because Louise and I were discussing it in the morning of the workshop. And I said, you know, I'm not prepared to change. I'm not prepared to buy new this, buy new files. Because if you're going to work with platinum, you've got to have a whole set of sanding sticks, buff sticks, files, different soldering blocks, different solder. The whole thing is completely different. It's a completely different alloy. So I was looking at Argentium in that light. I'm thinking, okay, it's silver, but you can't treat it as silver. It's going to have a whole new outlook. It's going to have a whole new working ability with it. You're going to have all these new tools. But Marky came in and said, no, the only thing that you need different is, if you're going to fuse it, is to have the Argentium flux, because that Argentium flux will work at the higher temperature needed to fuse. So you can't use your all flux or your borax to fuse, because those fluxes don't work at the temperature needed for the metal to fuse. And that's why the only thing that you need is the Argentium flux. But everything else, you don't need to change your materials, you don't need to change your files, your buff sticks, you don't have to change your polishing mops.
Well, they say
it is advisable, best practice, but at the end of the day, you don't have to. And that's the best thing about it. And I was really pleasantly surprised at how it was working. And I did go into it not wanting to not like it. I did actually think that. But by the end of it, I started to think, okay, well, let's start thinking about how we can use the properties of Argentium to make pieces of jewellery that you could not make with sterling silver in the traditional techniques.
It's going to be so useful, isn't it, when you think of a project like the lady, or the person who asked about the woven
mesh.
Yeah. Perfect.
Ideal.
Yeah. So you've got a design or like a client specification, and it's going to be great for things like that. Isn't it? Brilliant. Helena says Argentium can shatter if you put it into water or pickle too soon after torching. Yeah. There's lots of do's and don'ts, aren't there, which we do go through. All of them on the workshop. Julie says, I asked Rashbell if their 935 fancy gallery wires were Argentium, and they said no. Just a slightly different alloy to sterling. So it's just a...
Yeah, a sterling silver as opposed to Argentium.
Okay, thank you. Argentium, hallmark for Argentium is like a flying horse. Yes. Yeah, it's cool. Helena says, Rashbell's gallery wire is 935, classed as fine silver. Will Argentium cure my corns? No.
Different.
Gabby says it probably depends on which of the metals in the alloy gives you the allergy.
Exactly,
Julia says I use Argentium for ear wires to cut down the risk of an allergic reaction. Oh, that's cool.
Good.
I asked Rashmos, but they didn't recognise the term Argentium. Okay. Stop selling Argentium. It's becoming more expensive than 925 on Cookson's, but I think I'm a convert too.
Janet.
We might have something for you, Janet, in the workshop. Is it for the workshop?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Hold that thought. I'll leave you with that.
I'm not saying anything more than that.
Going. Okay.
But then again, it's only, going back to that, it's only literally a few pennies more. Because again, Marky went on, she had like a sheet, and she said this sheet, the Argentium is like 78 pence in Argentium, but in sterling silver, it's like 69 pence. So there's like a 9 pence difference between it, which isn't an awful lot, but you have to watch the workshop to be able to benefit from the workshop.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Dermot says, can you get a lacquer to paint on copper to stop your skin going green?
You can. It's just a very simple clear lacquer. You can buy clear lacquer anywhere. But as it's a lacquer, it will wear off. If you scrape it, you'll scrape back down to the copper. You wear it, the wearing will wear through the lacquer back down to the copper, and the bit of the copper then is exposed to the air is going to discolour.
It's going to discolour and patch.
It'll be patchy.
Well, I guess,
yes,
won't
it will. Yes.
Because some people say nail varnish, but if you've ever worn nail varnish, you'll know it just comes off, doesn't it? Just chips and breaks and wears off. So
and it'll discolour underneath, and so it become very patchy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Okay. More tools equals more better. Yeah. Definitely. Good. Still has something called Sterling Plus, which appears to be very similar.
Yes.
Good.
That's it. Good. So Louise went on a course 2 weeks ago.
It is. It is.
You went on a course. Good. Tell us all about it.
I've been doing the foundation of appraisal practice for a while.
For 2 years?
It's not supposed to take that long, but but just with everything that's, Anyway, thanks for saying that, because that's over the time.
But because they announced it, and I went, yes, Louise, if you want to do that, you can do it. And we paid up for it 2 years ago. Yeah. But when we paid up for it, it wasn't quite ready.
Well, I think it was just, anyway.
It went on a bit.
Here we are.
Here we are, 2 years later.
And you have to do a practical, which you don't have to do the written course. So basically it's 7 quite big, challenging assignments, which I'm on the final assignment now. Nearly finished it. As part of the qualification, you have to do a practical, a 3-day practical. So I had to toddle all the way to London on my own for 3 days, left Andrew on his own. So I spent 3 days in the GMA offices with the NAJ tutors, who are wonderful. Basically learning the practical side of all of that.
And it was good, wasn't it?
And it was very good. But if you're interested in valuation theory, perhaps you want to learn about how to become a valuer, just approach the NAJ, the NAJ, essentially not the NAJ, NAJ. Because anybody can attend the PVT, the Practical Valuation Techniques tutorial course, which is the 3-day course. Anybody can attend that. I think you have to have, it's preferred that you have a gemology qualification to do the Foundation of Appraisal Practice course. And this is why at the end of this, if I want to carry on, which I think I probably will, and hopefully one day register as a valuer, I have to do some more gemology training. It's been really good. That's
what's been happening. So
that's what I've been doing.
So we are keeping ourselves busy. It's like continual development, isn't it? You've got to keep. The jewellery trade is completely different to something. Say, you did you were a dentist, or dental job. I can't remember. I'm trying to work it out in my head. But you have to have so many points every year. What's it called again?
Continuing professional development, CPD. Well, you have to do that as a valuer as well. You have to do CPD.
That's right.
You have to go to a professional review periodically as well, so they check that you're.
But it's good
doing things the way that it needs to be done.
Yeah, and it's good. Anyone can do what we do here, but to be something like a valuer, you then have to get your CPD points. You have to be able to continue with your education, and it's just don't do the exam and that's it. You have to keep continuing.
Yeah, you have to keep proving that you can do it, and you can do it accurately and effectively, and that you're doing it basically in the public and insurers, if that's the purpose of the valuation, and looking after everybody really, and that you. So yeah.
I'm quite looking forward to you doing your gemology and your diamond grading.
I know, I can't wait.
Things like that. I think that's going to be really, really good.
That's my next thing.
And again, it's another course that you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, again, you've got
to
do a practical with that as well, haven't you?
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
Good. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Right, everyone, keep an eye out this week on social media. As I said at the beginning, if you are just finishing a degree course, if you're finishing college, if you're finishing uni, if you're just finishing a diploma course, we have a special offer coming up later on this week for you. just keep an eye out on socials, because we got news about the Argentium workshop that's going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks. We just have to get all that organised and put things in place. And I expect that's going to be within the next 4 weeks that's going to come out and come live. But don't forget, we will certainly let you know when that is going to be coming out, and we've got something very special planned for that. Don't forget, Birmingham Assay Office, ATB 2024. It gets your free registration. You will save, I think it's £95.
It's in that area. It's 90. I can't remember exactly.
It's a lot of money that you'll save. You can register your punch mark. You call it punch mark or laser mark.
Your sponsor mark.
Sponsor mark. Sorry, with the Assay Office. You still have to pay a little bit, but the £95 is waived if you quote the ATB 2024. If you want to do that, just please contact them, email them, quote the code, and you'll save your £90 odd, £94, £95 registration fee. Good. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us today.
Go back and see the Q&A from last week as well if you missed it. It's on there. It's brilliant.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very insightful.
I think I did a very good job asking the questions, and Louise and Marie were sat here looking very glamorous under the lights, and I was the one who's going, oh my gosh, what's this? I don't know how you do it. You do a very good job. Good.
Good.
Yes, I'm an Argentium convert.
Good.
I haven't been paid to say that. I just had a practical workshop with Marquis Award, and yes, it's very, very good. So stay tuned for more information on that.
Yeah, brilliant.
Good, everyone. We shall see you all next week. As I said, don't forget, keep an eye out on socials for things that are happening over the next few weeks. We will see you very soon. Louise, say goodbye.
Oh, goodbye.
Everyone, take care. We'll see you very soon.